Argentina has a history of default. They can't pay their bills on a regular basis. This country was one of the wealthiest countries in the entire world. Now today, they have done a complete 180. They are falling victim to contagion geographically, as it seems that South America is not prosperous at this time. The middle class has disappeared long ago. It should give us all a warning that this can happen to any country at any time. You came here for the truth, so let me unveil that for you. Today we're going to have our focus on Argentina. I had a subscriber comment to me and ask, could you please do a video on Argentina? What's the situation here? And so this video is for you, my friends, in Argentina. But if you're in another country, perhaps on the other side of the world, this information is important because it shows you how you can go from the top all the way down. So I'm going to bring this to you. I have so much information to cover today, but I want to just move through it as quick as possible and concisely here. Let's begin with this. Argentina announces the second surprise rate hike in less than a week. So the Federal Reserve, we wait for them several months to figure out what they're going to do with interest rates. And in Argentina, twice in a week, they brought their key interest rate now to 33.25%. Imagine what their inflation is when you see their interest rates going up to 33%. The peso has fallen more than 5% since Friday. So in that short period of time, we've had big changes, okay? And we're going to talk about those changes today. I'll show you a little bit of history. I'm going to show you what's happening today. So much jam-packed into one episode. I really love doing episodes about particular countries, and I always do, so stay tuned for more of those. Peso's plight. Argentina Central Bank hikes rates a second time in a week. Look at where it has come in just this short period of time, but even since the beginning of the year, clearly heading upwards in this case. This is not a good thing necessarily because it shows you the weakness that they are experiencing. They're talking about selling reserves, and I'll cover that more in just a moment. Record sales. Argentina's central bank continues to sell reserves after surprise hike. You could see that on the right-hand side, what they're pointing to here. Clearly a dramatic sale is happening right now, and that is starting to spook the markets a little bit. I'm going to show you what their market is up to at this time. Their currency is obviously being devalued versus the US dollar, as many are, and it's remains to be seen where it's going to go. I'm having to predict that it's going to continue this falling trend here. This shows us that a currency can be one-to-one with the US dollar one day, and in short order, it could be worth a hell of a lot less. The people of Argentina are suffering right now, many of them, because of what's going on in their financial system and how that relates to the US dollar. There are countries out there that see consistent inflation. They have higher interest rates, they have a vanishing middle class, and their currency basically is consistently worth less and less against the US dollar. Individuals who don't live in these areas don't realize the effect they have even locally. So there's this mentality that, well, they will just buy domestically, it won't be an issue. But it doesn't work like that. In fact, even if they're not grabbing those, products, whatever it might be, externally, somehow the prices continue to rise within their country. That shouldn't be like that. If you're growing, let's say, wheat in your own country, and you have your own workers working on those farms, and you produce the wheat there and you sell it as flour, let's say, in the market, locally, everything local, top to bottom, somehow the price has risen. Well, that doesn't make sense if you go based on the traditional theories that we are given in the financial system. but they're not factoring in the currency manipulation that goes on at the central bank level and thinking about foreign exchange, thinking about how all of these reserves work and everything else. That is a big, big role that isn't being accounted for, how it works when it comes down to the average person's, what they have in their bank, what they're earning, everything else. So you'll see Argentina 7-day repo rate has been just dramatically rising here, and the value of their currency has been declining. Argentine peso is at the bottom of the list, and I believe it shows here. There you go, best spot returns in percentage. Right at the bottom of the list, it is clearly showing us the value of their currency is continuing to decline. Well, if you didn't know, Argentina has defaulted on its sovereign debt 8 times since their independence in 1816. Spectacularly slow in 2001 on $100 billion of bonds, at the time the world's largest default, and most recently in 2014 after clashing with Elliott Management, an aggressive hedge fund. But their new government cured the latest default in 2016, and times have changed. Supposedly, I don't see it, the policy pendulum in Argentina has shifted to the center, and the country's next 100 years will be very different than the last century. They're making some claims, but I see nothing but the same old, same old. Look at how many times this country has defaulted. And when they default, it's not a pretty picture. It's not, well, okay, we got our creditors off our backs, now we can relax. Not at all. Absolutely not at all. The people there, think about it. When you have a country that has a very, very small middle class, it's not a good thing. You want a huge middle class. You want the lower class to be very small. Yet, we can see that there's a great divide. You have a few people at the top earning a lot of money. Whatever it is that they do, they'll be able to provide a lot of income for themselves. But it seems like there's a huge group right at the bottom. When you have 30% on your interest rates, you have to figure what's going on. What are they doing, and where are they taking this? There's only so much anybody can take. Look at their CPI, Consumer Price Index. It's just month after month after month after month, it's getting more and more expensive to live there, essentially. If you are earning their peso, you are living in Argentina between what they're showing here, basically 1 year. What you are seeing is a complete devaluation. Now, these people, their wages are not rising at the same rate. So it's an extreme example of what we are experiencing in, whether it's Canada, US, UK, Australia, New Zealand, wherever, where the inflation is there, clearly present because of central bank intervention and everything else. Look at Argentina, look at the CPI, and even these numbers, obviously they're fraudulent because they move things around. If the Argentines are not eating steak, they're going to eat ground beef. If they can't afford ground beef, they're going to eat pork. If they can't afford pork, they're going to eat rice. If they can't afford the rice, I don't know what else they're going to eat. So this is what happens here. All because of, number one, mismanagement and the policies that are put in place, and then external factors, okay? Other countries can use these financial manipulation against that country, okay? I hope you know what I'm talking about. Now, a lot of claims have come up, especially throughout 2017, that the best investment that you can get into are FANG stocks. Now, the FANG stocks have continued to rise and rise and rise. And if you looked at the stock market, you grab a handful of stocks in the US stock market, you will see throughout 2017, they did so well. And ever since, late January, early February, this has just been, sort of up and down, up and down. Ultimately, there's this general consensus: buy stocks, you'll be rich forever, nothing bad. There's actually a new thing that's coming out now. The stock market will never ever crash. That is a new statement that I've consistently been hearing over and over again. It's something that I like to read over and over again. It's for me, it's comical. Anyway, why not invest in a market that's doing much better? You can invest in the Argentina stock market. Look at where it has gone since the financial crisis up until today. It has multiplied in those years. Where the S&P 500 to Dow Jones, we've watched them come, S&P 500 was at 666, and now today people are claiming it's going to go up to, let's say, 3,000. Whether it will or not, we'll see. Doesn't matter. Okay, you look at that, but why not invest in the Argentina stock market? It has gone significantly higher. If you would have put your money in 2009 up until today, you'd be much, much better off. What about even, let's say, 2015? Why not? Ride the wave. All you're doing is riding the devaluation of the currency in that particular country. Why not? I'm asking. I'm not even being silly about it. If what you're doing is riding the wave of a devaluation of the currency, because a lot of people are willing to acknowledge the fact that the Federal Reserve and all central banks are printing money, they're buying up shares, devaluating the currencies, causing these different assets to rise, okay? Why not buy Argentina stock market? Why not buy Venezuela stock market? If that's what your plan is, you're going to make a hell of a lot more money, or I should say it more actually how it is. You're going to see your asset appreciating in the nominal value. That's what's going on here. It's been doing so year after year after year. And that's a question. Okay, I'm asking you. I'd like to see some replies on that. Don't go anywhere. I'm going to get into this topic much deeper. Click on the link in the description to go over to part 2. See you there.